Welcome back, everyone. We are Tornado Central, and we're looking at a picture that was tweeted out earlier from Joplin, Missouri, from Ryan Graves, 33, of a tornado just northwest of Joplin, Missouri. You can see it very evident on this picture, that funnel, that cloud that goes all the way to the ground. That tornado, there it is, just northwest of Joplin. And I know we're very sensitive in Joplin to tornadoes, and unfortunately, we've got a couple of warnings in your area. Let's go ahead and show you what it looks like right now around Norman, as we're right now in Arkansas driving along here on the roads. You could see some of the darker clouds off in the distance as this tracker, this storm tracker, is chasing or trying to get to an area maybe where there is some severe weather. But right now, let's show you we have a lot of action. That's right here in Arkansas. Look at these thunderstorms that have developed and moving right here into Missouri. But also here, tornado warnings continue to be in effect in the western side of town, or western part of the state, where we do have a couple of active warnings in place. We're going to show you right now the first warning coming right here into Newton County, just north of Neosho. You can see coming through Diamond right now. This tornado warning in effect until 6:30 Central Time. And you saw the cup a little bit earlier off to the west of that, still showing signs of rotation, a possible tornado. Here in Barton County, here around Nashville, this thunderstorm possibly producing a tornado as well. A warning in effect for Barton County until 6:30. And if you're under that warning, you did take cover now, the lowest level of your home and interior room, and stay away from the windows. Bates County also under a tornado warning. This is all in western Missouri, by the way. This warning is in effect until 6:30 Central Time. You can see it's moving through Mount Pleasant right now, maybe right in that area there. That's where the tornado possibly is. So right now in Mount Pleasant, you should be taking cover as we speak. The big picture showing us where it's happening. Western parts of Tennessee getting hit with some very heavy rain as well. Even tornado warnings in northwestern parts of Mississippi. A couple of warnings right now. And it looks like here north of Batesville in Panola County, a tornado warning as this thunderstorm is moving right across Interstate 55. So do not get in your car, get to your shelter, and stay there until this moves by. Do not be traveling on 55 right now. Also, east of Dallas, severe thunderstorm warning right now in Wood County as this thunderstorm is moving very quickly to the northeast, possibly producing some very large hail. We've seen a lot of hail and even wind damage reports as well, and around maybe 7 to 10 reports of tornadoes so far today. Tornado watch in effect until 11 o'clock, so we still have several more hours of some of this threat for you guys here in Arkansas. Nick?
All right, let's go in depth now on the severe weather and the tornado threat. Jim Cantori is live at the Storm Prediction Center in Norman, Oklahoma. Jim, what we forecast, what was feared is coming to pass, and you're stationed right there in a good location to be able to get a handle on just how widespread this threat is.
Yeah, and I mean, really, if you look at what they do here at NOAA's Storm Prediction Center, I mean, this is the epicenter of where we're going to get an idea of what this area is looking at, what may potentially be in a weather watch of some sort over the next several days. This was forecast about 6 days out. It was outlooked about 6 days out, showing up on what they call a 4 to 8 day outlook. And then as we got closer, we saw, of course, moderate risk come out a couple of days ago, and then even eventually our first high risk of the year come out today as well. So a very dangerous situation. Want to show you these pictures out of Quapaw, Oklahoma here. This is right up against the Kansas border here. We understand from reports of a fire station that was destroyed here. This is the north end of town from Mike Collier weather here. We understand, again, the north side of town has sustained some pretty heavy damage. You can see fire and also police are on the scene through. Let's go to another picture. Again, guys, it looks like debris has been speeding up. Definitely debris littered throughout the road as well and through here as we've been looking at. I guess we only had one picture there. Again, also reports of damage in Baxter Springs, Kansas, to several homes there. Reported earlier as to be heavy damage to those shows. We've seen a large elephant trunk tornado in Prescott, Kansas as well. Much more to come, maybe even Kansas City Metro. Stick around. Storm Prediction Center here in Norman, Oklahoma. Again, a new weather watch issued for northern Missouri here. And how apropos, look at this. This is live from the air from KSHB in Kansas City. They are on the storm that earlier produced an elephant trunk tornado down near the Prescott area in Kansas. All right, so this storm has now moved into Missouri. There is also another storm to the south of the Kansas City metro area. to the northeast. It is produced a severe thunderstorm warning for Kansas City, the south side of Kansas City. We will see if that transitions into something that may rotate and produce a tornado. Right now, I want to go to Mike Bettis, who is down in Granby, Missouri, which is in the southwest part of the state. Bettis, a couple of tornadoes down there. What are you seeing right now?
Yeah, we're on that tornado warning storm in Newton County. We take a look behind me here. This is the tail end of it here. Looks like it's losing a lot of its rotation right now, but definitely I can tell why they were seeing some rotation on Doppler radar. That's what we saw with a ragged wall cloud that was rolling through. If you look right underneath where we're watching the sky there, the folks that live here have a terrific underground tornado shelter. They're just now coming out of it right now, so doing the right thing. They got in their storm shelter when the tornado warning was issued. It looks like the skies are letting up and relenting just a little bit. If we turn here back to the north, you'll see we go off to the north here. The leading edge of that storm as it goes off north and then northeast of us. Pretty decent hail initially with that storm, but we got rain for about 10-15 seconds and that was it. So I think this one may actually, at least at this point, Jim, if it's going to cycle, it's in that downtime. I think we got a little bit of cold air intrusion from some southern rain back into that hook echo, which is a great thing. We didn't get actually a tornado touchdown right here. We'll keep our eye on it. There's a lot going on in the atmosphere right now. In behind, we still have some lowering here, and you can still see we may have a little bit of lowering right there where we may still get funnels to form, but not nearly the storm it was maybe even just 20 minutes ago or so.
Bettis, have you noticed any rain cool outflow or anything like that where you are?
Yeah, well, we did have some of that, you know, when we were initially a little bit closer to the storm center itself, and that is all gone now. I mean, it's dead calm right now, so we're in behind now.
Wow.
We don't have any of that outflow anymore, where it's that cold air, you know, that rushes out in front of the storm and then pushes horizontally across the ground. That's what you'll see on that leading edge over there. See the large contrast between the dark skies above and then the brighter horizon down below. That'll be the leading edge of the storm, and it'll be along that leading edge where you get some pretty strong downdraft, cool air that comes out and then rushes out ahead of that storm. And then right here in behind is where we've got, you know, that hook, that appendage that sticks out from the back end, which is what we distinctly saw on the radar. So we'll just watch this in from the backside here, Jim. A little bit of lightning. Haven't seen a lot of lightning with this storm. A couple of strokes, that's it. But you know, you watch the back end of these. You see if you see any brief spin-ups. I think if we do see something out of this, it'd be brief. It'd be a brief touchdown, maybe last a couple seconds and lift again. But we're in a great vantage point now because the storm's moving away from us. We're not in any danger.
All right, Mike Bettis, we'll check back in with you in just a little bit. Guys, let's bring up the KSHB camera again. Again, they're in the chopper. This is Kansas City Metro NBC affiliate KSHB, and what we're looking at, of course, is a storm that has moved from Kansas into Missouri now, and earlier on, again, produced an elephant trunk tornado. Certainly doesn't look like it's doing much now. There's a little appendage there. Looks like mostly a rain shaft at this time. This is near Foster, Missouri. So earlier on, again, that's where the pictures came out around Prescott of that elephant trunk tornado. I want to bring in Bill Bunting, the operations chief. Bill, let's look up again toward the top where we can see these actual echoes of low-level rotation here showing up. Not tornado warned yet, but a storm heading right into the Kansas City metropolitan area. Yeah, that storm has strengthened a bit over the past hour. Rotation at the mid-levels being watched closely by the local National Weather Service office there in Pleasant Hill. Obviously, folks in Kansas City need to be paying close attention here over the next 30 or 45 minutes. Yeah, if you follow what's happened with some of these in the past, so this could turn into low-level rotation. The cycle has been for them to sometimes spin up and produce low-level circulation. All right, Bill Bunting, operations chief here at NOAA's Storm Prediction Center. Let's talk to Greg Forbes about what he thinks about this storm. Greg, again, now we're talking about potentially a metro area dealing with a severe thunderstorm. What are your thoughts on this?
Well, Jim, there's certainly quite a mass of thunderstorms that's rolling into the Kansas City area. Does not look like a tremendous source of rotation, but certainly could be some hail and damaging winds. We're seeing it here on the radar as it's moving across with severe warnings for Jackson, Johnson, and Wyandotte counties there. There can be at times some little circulations that form on the leading edge of that. Maybe even a little, it has a little bit of a comma shape to it, so maybe around the Olathe area there could be some rotation, but we're not seeing any of those red-green couplets. It's for the most part just showing flow that's pretty strong up toward the radar there, so could be some pretty strong wind gusts around the either side of the Olathe area, but there's that broad comma shape to it as it's heading off toward the northeast into Kansas City. So can't totally rule out a tornado, but I think probably gusty winds are going to be the main threat. Then taking a look down farther to the south, we have had some tornado warnings earlier in some of these storms. Barton, now you're under severe thunderstorm warning around the city area. That storm had some rotation down around the Nashville area. Still a little bit of rotation that's showing up there around the North Fork area. Let's go on to the next storm there, Sarah. And this is the storm that right now is the strongest one. This is the one that Mike Bettis is on. Tornado warning for Jasper, Lawrence, and Newton counties. Look how the storm here wraps into a hook. So the inflow comes in across the Sarcoxie area. The storm then has a counterclockwise rotation. Here is the rotation within the storm. So if there's a tornado there, it's getting very close to the Sarcoxie area. Should head up across Interstate 44 toward the Stott City area with that supercell thunderstorm. There is the approximate timing coming in toward the Sarcoxie area, 6:35, the little Russell area, about 6:42. Sarah, let's go also to our max, so our Gibson Ridge here, 17 for this one before we go to the Mississippi storm. And you want to go to just Mississippi? There it is. So Gibson Ridge showing our high-resolution radar is showing this is a well-defined supercell thunderstorm. Big long axis here of hail that's showing up inside of that with the rotation down to the south edge. The tornado often likes to follow along the edge of the storm, so that would take it from the Sarcoxie area up toward the Russell area. Now let's go to Mississippi, Sarah. And we have a couple of storms down there now. It had been more or less a west-east line, and now there are rotation signatures in each of those. So the western of the two, Tate and Tunica counties, areas off to the north and west of Crenshaw with some of that rotation. The circulation right there is where the tornado would be heading off toward the north and east. That will go up toward Highway 3, where it intersects with Highway 4 there north of Crenshaw. And then a cluster of thunderstorms here with probably the strongest indication of rotation in the areas off to the west of Sardis, Panola County. You have a severe thunderstorm tornado warning. Now look though here what has happened. There's one rotation right about there, another rotation right about the Sardis area. So we may wind up getting a third tornado warning out of these multiple circulations that are forming on the south edge of this line of thunderstorms that's moving northeast across northern parts of Mississippi. Let's take a look at the big picture. So over here, some of these storms are running along an outflow boundary. There's been a lot of rain, flash flood warnings there in green, and so these storms are gaining some rotation as they come from the areas that have had the sun out versus areas now that have had some cooling. All sorts of severe thunderstorm warnings across Arkansas. Then ahead of the cold front here, storms that are with rotation and tornado warnings in southwest parts of Missouri. Surface low, and then the big ingredients for this, you can see the big spinning upper low, and on its south flanks, the jet stream winds just blasting in, while at the same time the surface winds are coming in from the southeast. So that Arkansas, Louisiana, Mississippi area is the place where I've given the highest Torcon rating tonight. That's an 8. Stay safe.
A flood advisory is in effect for our area.
When Panera began, we decided to
that are doing okay with this. So we're still looking at severe storms here tonight. The tornado here in Quapaw, Oklahoma, that thunderstorm is now moving into western parts of Missouri, where we still have tornado warnings on this. So a lot of warnings out here tonight. We're seeing a lot of warnings in western parts of Missouri, but also here in Jasper, we have a tornado warning in effect for Fidelity, Russell, and Sarcoxie County right now till 6:45. So you guys, you take cover now, get to the lowest level of your room, interior room of your home, interior room, stay away from the windows. You can see right in here, there's the thunderstorm right here and the possible tornado where we kind of have that hook in there. So if you are in Vernon County, tornado warning in effect here as well until 7 o'clock Central Time. And most of these again in parts of Missouri. I believe this one is in Mississippi right now, Tate and Tunica County until 7 o'clock. It's right with this part of the thunderstorm right in here where there possibly is a tornado. Take cover now. Nick?
Thanks so much, Kim. Watching all of this is our own Jim Cantori. He's at the National Storm Prediction Center in Norman, Oklahoma. Jim, folks settled in there for obviously a long evening.
Yeah, and you know, their work certainly is irreplaceable. I mean, the work that these guys do in terms of the outlooks several days in advance, the discussions on what's going on and why they may or may not put up a weather watch, and then officially coordinating with local National Weather Service offices all of the watches is just it's irreplaceable. Whether you're a local meteorologist or you're a national meteorologist, without what they do here, we could not do our jobs. And unfortunately, again, regardless of how hard we all work at trying to get the word out, sometimes Mother Nature has the final word, and we understand from the AP now 2 reported fatalities in Quapaw, Oklahoma. As we get more on that story, we will obviously pass along to you. All right, let's bring in Mike Bettis, who I believe is down in Granby, Missouri. Mike, what's the latest in Granby?
That same storm that came right over top of us, Jim, is now moving off to our north. You can see it off in the distance there. Still tornado warned. That's Jasper County, by the way. Please, if you live along La Russell, you got to be taking shelter right now. Looks like there's rotation right over top of you. This could be headed toward the town of Miller. This is the southern one of the storms. The other was the northern storm that hit around Baxter Springs and Quapaw, which is not that far from here. It's about 45 minutes away from where we are. We're kind of 2 tornado warned storms moving in conjunction with each other. But moving now off to the north-northeast. These are moving pretty quickly at about 50 miles an hour, so you don't have a lot of time to react when they do come. It was great to see the folks that were right here at the corner house. They were running into their underground tornado shelter as that tornado was, at least the sky was spinning overhead. They got right in there, shut the doors, did the right thing. Didn't have a tornado touchdown here, didn't even really see a funnel cloud, but now off in the distance, that's where the trouble is. As you go now likely north of I-44, you're going to have some issues between Joplin and Springfield, Jim. So still a lot of activity with these storms, and we're going to follow them throughout the evening until probably the sun sets tonight.
Mike, how far are you from the interstate and heading up towards Springfield?
We're not that far. We're probably 20 minutes from the interstate. We could hop back on I-44 and head eastbound and maybe potentially catch back up to this. I'm not sure. They're moving pretty quickly, so I'm not sure we'll catch it, but we're not that far from from 44 right now.
All right, yeah, let's keep an eye on that storm that's heading up towards Springfield, Missouri. Very nasty supercell, probably the worst right now that we see on the radar. Bill Bunting is telling me that the storm in Kansas City, which you can see up on the upper part of the screen there, we only have 30 seconds, unfortunately, Bill, so we can't come to you, is weakening. But Bill does say that it is weakening, so we will keep an eye on that storm as well. But the storm that we need to keep an eye on for Springfield, Missouri is pretty much moving right along the interstate. It is a classic supercell, it's a classic hook echo, and it hasn't produced much of anything yet, but I wouldn't be surprised certainly if it did as we go on in time. Again, guys, if you're just joining us, a word out of the AP out of Quapaw, Oklahoma, 2 fatalities from a tornado earlier. Heavy damage in Baxter Springs. We'll try and get the latest out of there in Kansas coming up.
Get all your favorites all day.
Okay, guys, continue to watch a very, very active night. Unfortunately, reporting 2 fatalities. The Sheriff's Department, I should say, out of Ottawa County, in a very much search and rescue mode right now. That is an extreme. 2 fatalities, and as they state to us, they are in a search and rescue mode at the present time. We also understand heavy damage, possible injuries in Baxter Springs in Kansas. That is an extreme southeast Kansas. So that's on that cluster of storms that Mike Bettis is on right now. Let's go down into Arkansas. Reed Timmer has been following some storms down there. Reed, where are you and what are you seeing, buddy?
Hey, Jim, we're just east of Hot Springs right now. We're about to head northeast on 30 toward Little Rock. And there's a cell about 10 miles to our northeast right now that's starting to show increasing rotation, and that one should pass just to the north of Little Rock, or right near Little Rock, in about 45 minutes to an hour. So we're going to be heading that direction, and we can see the backside of it. It definitely has some healthy towers and it's getting organized, but it's tough chasing down here in the mountain trees.
Yeah, it is exactly right. I mean, that is a real tough place to chase. Exactly, Reed. We'll keep us posted on that. No question about it. Again, Bettis is in Granby, possibly going to head northeast. We just got a report out of Nevada, Missouri, of a tornado that's on the ground. Hence the tornado warning with that storm just about 20 minutes ago. So, folks, be on the lookout for that. I want to bring in Greg Forbes, our severe weather expert, to talk obviously about these storms in Missouri. Greg, again, sad news, obviously, out of Kansas and Oklahoma. But what are the threats with these current storms? The one, first of all, east of Nevada, and then secondly, if you will, west of Springfield.
Well, the storm has produced a tornado southwest of Nevada. The next one down the line near La Russell has had a funnel cloud. A couple of storms with tornado warnings in Mississippi. The eastern of the two has had a tornado. Let's take first a look at the storm that Reed Timmer was talking about. Here is Little Rock over the right side of the screen. And so you can see that there's definitely a severe thunderstorm warned, but you can see that this is definitely a storm that is worthy of being chased because we have a storm that has little inflow arms. And so there's definitely some rotation that's showing up right around this location. So were it to get a tornado, it would certainly be heading in that general area up toward the Momel area and then the west and northwest sides of the Little Rock area. Okay, Sarah, let's go on then. Here's the big picture. Jim was asking a couple of storms down in the southwest parts of Missouri. The northern one has produced a tornado southwest of Nevada. The next one near La Russell has had a funnel cloud. A couple tornado warnings north in Mississippi. So let's go along and we'll take a look at the tornado warned storms. This particular one, as it was south and west of Nevada, Missouri produced a tornado. Now it is off to the north and east of Nevada in Missouri. Vernon County, you have a possible tornado. Not extremely strong rotation in this. It's heading up toward the Bacon area, but there is the green, the northbound, the red's going southbound, up very close to the Walker area and heading northeast at about 45 miles per hour. Then let's go down, Sarah, to the next storm down the line here. Yeah, let's keep going down to the next storm down the line. And you see this one too has a very well-defined hook echo. This is a storm that is near La Russell. Lawrence County in Missouri, you have a tornado warning there. Just going to go just to the south or close to the Red Oak area, close to the Miller area. Doesn't have extremely strong rotation showing up there. It's going to be this one very close and just to the north and east of the La Russell area. There's been a funnel cloud reported with this storm. Then let's go on, Sarah, to the next storms. There are a line of storms going slowly northbound across northern parts of Mississippi. The lead one, the one to the east, has produced a tornado. The one to the west has a tornado warning for Tate and Tunica counties. You can see how there's a pretty well-defined hook echo there with the inflow coming into the notch part of the hook and then the rain-cooled air wrapping around. So the tornado vortex signature getting very close to that big bend in the road there on Highway 3 heading off toward the northeast. And Sarah, if you can put on, well, there's the storm off to the west. And as I showed you a little while ago, there's actually three little hooks here. This one has produced a tornado east-northeast of Marks earlier. Now it's off to the north and east of Sardis, Lafayette, Marshall, and Tate counties with a tornado warning. That will be this rotation tornado vortex signature. It's a pretty strong one that is heading off toward the northeast. There's another one, though, that is in the storm that is not warned over around the Como area, and that will go in south of the Senatobia area. So dangerous storms, maybe more than one location, a possibility of tornadoes there in northern Mississippi. Let's go ahead then, Sarah, to the next, and seeing that as we continue tonight, it's parts of this Arkansas, Louisiana, Mississippi area I'm thinking have the highest chance of a tornado, Torcon of 7, but we have storms that are moving across Missouri that will continue to have Torcon values of 5, a 50% chance of a tornado. So still dangerous storms, a lot of them that have hail and damaging winds and lightning, of course, out there as well, Jim, that we didn't have time to cover. Jim?
All right, Greg Forbes. Impressive cell, though, west of Little Rock you showed first. Stick around, folks. Mike Seidel is in Little Rock. We're going to talk to him at the top of the hour, see what's going on down there. You saw Reed Timmer as well. He is chasing storms down there. We'll get the latest from him. Plus, again, guys, we continue to watch those storms possibly heading towards Springfield and now east of Nevada, Missouri, still with rotation. We'll be right back.
We're getting pictures now from Quapaw, Oklahoma of some of the damage done by a tornado not too long ago. Also, 2 deaths being reported from this tornado. And you can see the damage, the rubble left behind from this tornado. Search and rescue is going on right now in the city of Quapaw, Oklahoma, where a tornado moved through and at least right now has killed 2 people.
Welcome back to this extended and special edition of Weather Center Live. Thanks for joining us. I'm Nick Walker.
And I'm Kim Cunningham. We're going to be with you all night long covering this severe weather threat.
And we have a team of meteorologists here at the Weather Channel headquarters in Atlanta, live in the field, and they're all tracking the dangerous weather to keep you safe. I
want to bring in Jim Cantori at the Storm Prediction Center. Jim.
Yeah, guys, let's go ahead and continue with this Quapaw, Oklahoma story that we've got. Again, 2 fatalities being reported by the Associated Press. Let's find out what the emergency managers say in Oklahoma. I want to bring in Kelly Kane with Oklahoma EMA. Kelly, what is the situation in Quapaw?
Well, we know that We know that there's extensive damage to the north side of town, which is kind of the Main Street area. The emergency manager there has reported a fire station was destroyed along with numerous other buildings. We're hearing reports from the Highway Patrol of some injuries. So we have staff on our way down there, and we're hoping to get more information soon.
And Kelly, according to the sheriff in Ottawa County, we have confirmed fatalities, correct?
I don't have that report. I'm sorry.
Okay, well, that's what we're getting from the actual sheriff in Ottawa County. So anyway, thank you for that report. We appreciate that. Let's go over to Bill Bunting again and talk about these storms rotating in Arkansas, and then we're going to get to Mike in just a minute. Is this surface-based?
These storms are. What we have is some rain-cooled air that's beginning to shift southwestward, and the southern edge of which is right in here. Any of these storms that interact with that rain-cooled boundary will have an enhanced threat for low-level rotation. So those storms, which are rotating in the mid-levels, need to be watched closely.
All right, and this is the hot spot, isn't it?
This is the area that we think is the most pristine and favorable. These storms and the storms moving across northeast Texas are the ones to watch, in addition to the ones up into southwest Missouri.
All right, so for our viewers, we're looking at rotation with blue boxes being severe thunderstorm warning, red, obviously, with tornado warning. All right, thanks, Bill Bunting, again, Operations Chief here at NOAA's Storm Prediction Center. All right, I want to bring in Mike Seidel, who is in North Little Rock. Mike, we haven't talked to you in a while, buddy, but you've gone pretty much from north of the warm front in the cool 60s to now a little bit more humid air, haven't you?
Yeah, 74 now. This is the warmest it's been all day, and we've got storms all around us. Let's go to the radar. We've got a shower here in downtown Little Rock and North Little Rock. Haven't seen much in the way of lightning. The rain is basically coming down almost vertically. There's not much wind, but look on the radar. We've got a warning northeast of Little Rock. This is a cell moving north at 60 miles an hour. North of here, up in Russellville, up through the Ozarks to Mountain Home, more storms. We've got 5 current severe thunderstorm warnings as of last check. Also north and west, where we had earlier tornado warnings out around Conway and Hot Springs. Those were left to go, expire. Nothing was I-30, I should say I-40, north and west of the area. Again, we're under that PDS, that particularly dangerous situation watch until 11 o'clock. So we're not out of the woods, but if you look at the radar, we're looking pretty good, at least in the short term, for Little Rock, also points south and points southeast. So, Jim, it's been a wait and watch all day. We had the more stable air, and now we're in the certainly the warm sector. But we're doing okay, at least at this end. Just those severe thunderstorm warnings in the state right now, primarily hail and straight line wind damage. But again, with the tornado watch, tornado could spin up at any moment. Jim?
Right. All right, buddy, again, where Mike is, too, especially to the south of that, as Bill Bunting was just telling us, I mean, this is pristine air. This is air that has not been tapped yet, so the potential is certainly still there for storms to be explosive as we work our way through tonight. At this point, it doesn't appear that we've had at least a long-track tornado up to the north, but that's the area that they're concerned about, having those long-track tornadoes. Let's bring in Greg Forbes, our severe weather expert, and talk about the storms that may face some major cities. Forbes, let's talk about Little Rock and Kansas City. What are your thoughts on those areas?
Definitely some severe thunderstorms coming in there. The Little Rock storm, I'm keeping an eye on the south end of that in case it develops some rotation. Let's take a look. Here's the big picture. So there are storms now, several of them across western parts of Missouri, a big cluster in Arkansas, and then a couple of tornado warnings in Missouri and Mississippi. Okay, let's take a look then. We'll start with the Kansas City area. Severe thunderstorm. Basically, it's kind of a backwards bow echo, trying to be a little bit of a comma shape there, like the punctuation mark, rolling itself with strong damaging winds up across Clay, Clinton, and Platte counties now off to the north suburbs of the Kansas City area. Let's take a look then at the Little Rock area. And that's the Gibson Ridge, Sarah. Well, broad number of thunderstorms there in the Little Rock area, including the one that Reed Timmer has been following, and you can see why he's interested in that one. These spiraling bands that are coming in and converging down to a spot in the southwest part of the storm. I'll show a little bit of a velocity signature here, and there is a developing amount of rotation showing up there. Look at how the greens and blues go southbound, the reds northbound. So I'm going to continue to monitor this one. If it does develop a tornado, it looks like it would move up toward the Momel area, which is off to the north of the Little Rock area. But sometimes as these storms develop a faster rotation, they take a turn to the right. So we'll need to continue to monitor that one. At the moment, I'm not seeing a debris signature showing up there. Okay, Sarah, on to the Missouri tornado warned storms. There we have, that's the storm getting very close to the Little Rock area now. Up into the Missouri area, still the southern of the storms there, Lawrence County, tornado warning for the areas getting close to the Miller area, although that storm is looking like it is beginning to weaken considerably compared to what it had been. Slide that just a little bit to the north, Sarah. And the main storm may actually be now one that's up here in Dade County that is heading up toward the area in between South and the Greenfield area. Let's go now down to the next storms then, Sarah. Now down into Mississippi, there's a line of storms. The east one still has a tornado warning. The western one, the tornado warning has expired now. That circulation was heading up toward the Hernando area. Slide it along, Sarah. Still a tornado warning on here for parts of Marshall and Tate counties. The tornado circulation down with that appendage that sticks out. There you can see the velocities, the green's going northbound, the red's going southbound, and so still a pretty strong rotation on that one. Sharon, yeah, so that's heading up toward areas near Tyro, the Chulahoma area and the Gilton area, and up in the box there you see the approximate times for this particular storm. So some very dangerous storms rolling across. It's this area, the Arkansas, Mississippi, Louisiana area, that I think has the highest threat still overnight with a Torcon of 7, but our tornado threats rolling across Missouri, Torcons of 5 still up in parts of that area, and we'll continue to see these tornado threats roll east as we head into the next several days. I've given for tomorrow a Torcon of 7, again for parts of Louisiana and Mississippi, Torcons of 6 on a 10-point scale, northern parts of Alabama, and maybe even up near that surface upper low where we had some tornadoes in Nebraska today. Tomorrow, that will be parts of Iowa. So stay safe, everybody. It's going to be until Wednesday or Thursday before we're done. Dangerous tornado warned storm now heading toward the northwest and west suburbs of Little Rock, Arkansas. That's the storm I was talking to you with just a few minutes ago. Here is in red that new tornado warning. You can see that's the storm that is closest to the Little Rock area, and the tornado warning is in effect for parts of Faulkner, Perry, and Pulaski counties. You can see how the storm has a hook echo there down in the southwest. Oh, and it has developed not only a debris ball, but now also a tornado debris signature. Let's time it out, Sarah. As I was saying a few minutes ago, it's heading up toward the Momel area, the North Point area, the Monty Springs, the Mayflower area there over the course of the next few minutes. Let's go to our high definition radar, and you can see how it's a supercell thunderstorm. It really spirals around. There is the hook. That is where the tornado is located. I'll circle this, and then we'll go to the velocity signatures. There is the tornado velocity signatures, the very strong. It continues to increase. Northwest winds there in blue, the southwest winds there in red, and the tornado sitting right in the middle. And let me again put a little bit of a circle there. And these days with the dual pole radars, you can see tumbling debris that looks different, has different returns when you scan it horizontally versus vertically. When you get these little blue holes, that is indicative of what we call a tornado debris signature. So that is present now. It appears that there is a tornado in progress. It's heading up toward the Momel area into the areas west and northwest of the Little Rock area. So people in those areas need to be seeking shelter. Lowest, innermost portion of a sturdy building. Try to protect your head. If you have a helmet, put that on. Let's go now to Jim Cantori.
All right, Forbes, that's where you pretty much put your highest Torcons for the day. That's why we sent Mike Seidel there. We'll talk to him in just a moment in North Little Rock. But first, I want to bring in Reed Timmer in Benton, Arkansas. Timmer, I know you're on this cell. What are you seeing, buddy?
Hey, I can see the massive updraft right now. There's too many trees, so I can't see the base. If these trees weren't here, we'd probably be able to see underneath the storm, but it has a massive updraft tower above it. It's absolutely exploded over the last 20 minutes. And we're going to head northeast toward Little Rock. We're right behind it, and we should have visual of the base here in about 15, 20 minutes or so.
All right, well, be careful, guy. Yeah, I mean, look at this is exactly what we're talking about. Don't go outside and try and get confirmation of this. If Forbes has got the ZDR and you can see a debris ball potentially on there, there's a tornado on the ground. That's the confirmation. You saw the trees that Reed has to deal with, so please be careful. Are we going back to Forbes? All right, Forbes, is this a debris ball?
Oh, absolutely.
There's
no doubt that we have a debris ball that is showing up now with this. It is a debris ball. It has the velocity signature. It has the dual pole tornado debris signature. And that's what I'm talking about right there.
Oh, look at that.
It's down in the southwest portion of this rotating supercell thunderstorm, heading northeast, generally toward the Momel area. The debris ball, I'll circle that. And then take a look here in the storm relative velocities. You can see that that is where we have the rotation, corresponds to that high return on radar. So that is because there's debris being tossed in the air. And I'll circle it one more time and show you that the dual pole radars now are able to detect that debris as little blue holes. Poor correlation between the horizontal and vertical scans. Tornado is in progress in the areas heading toward the Momel area. In fact, let me just put a spot on here. I'll put a marker here and then hit it. It's about 10 miles to the south and west of Momel. Probably a little bit less than that now, considering it's a few minutes per the scan. Might go slightly to the north and west of Momel, maybe just a little bit, probably just slightly to the south of the Mayflower area. So, Jim, a very dangerous tornado in progress now in the areas off to the west of Little Rock. Jim?
Forbes, let's see. National Weather Service spotters reporting a confirmed tornado with reports of damage 5 miles to the southwest of Lake Maumelle. So you're absolutely right about that. That is a debris ball. We've got confirmed damage as it moves off to the north and east. And I want to bring in Mike Seidel, who is in North Little Rock right now. Mike, you're hearing the sirens go off. There they are. I can hear them myself.
We are Yeah, you can hear them. They went off about 5 or 6 minutes ago as soon as they issued the warning. Now, the warning includes the western part of Pulaski County. That is not downtown Little Rock or North Little Rock. We're looking out to the west. Just saw a good cloud-to-ground strike out here north and west. But that is the direction of the tornado that's on the ground. We are too far away, obviously, to see it here in North Little Rock. But that's going to miss us downtown as it moves from the southwest to the northeast at about 40 miles an hour. So the sirens are off as a precaution. Looking back towards Little Rock now and looking off to the south and southwest, things are brightening up. In fact, a little bit of blue sky. We haven't seen any of that today, but definitely back in the warm sector, Jim, since late this afternoon. We're at 74 degrees and the dew point is 70. So it's a very warm tropical atmosphere. We just needed something to kind of fire things up, and we're getting that as far as the dynamics, because we've lost the heating of the day. You know, south of here, Jim, temperatures are between 80 and 85 degrees. So we're going to stay on top of this. Dr. Greg Forbes, we got Reed Timmer out there near that tornadic cell, and we've got you at the SPC. So we've got this cell covered. Again, it's going to go between Little Rock and Conway in the next half an hour or so. Jim?
Looks like it's heading just north of Maumelle. That is a debris ball that you're looking at. We're with Bill Bunting here at the Storm Prediction Center here in Norman. This is what we hate seeing, Bill. No question about it. What are your thoughts? We got a tornado emergency with this?
We have a confirmed tornado with damage. So this particular storm, which is exactly where we would think if we're going to have a large tornado, it's right along this warm front, reinforced by outflow. Storms from west central into southeast Arkansas and across northern Mississippi. That's the prime spot at the moment.
All right, we'll keep an eye on it. Dangerous storm again. Confirmed damage with this debris ball, as Forbes showed you. Timmer, let's get to you. I don't know where you are, but I know you're closing in on that storm. What do you see, buddy?
Yeah, we're 10 miles southwest of Little Rock, looking northeast. Still that massive updraft tower. You can actually see faintly the inflow band of flaking line that's feeding into it. So this is definitely a long track. Tornadic supercell already with damage. This thing's going to keep on going. I don't see anything that's going to slow it down as it moves northeast. So we're going to round the northwest loop of Little Rock and see if we can get visual of this. But right now, there's lots of trees out here, so it's very difficult to see. So people, like you said, don't try to see this thing. Take shelter. It's a very dangerous tornadic supercell.
All right. Thank you, Reed. Keep an eye out, buddy. Be safe. Again, if you live in Maumelle, you should be taking cover immediately there just to the north. That's where the storm is going to head. I want to bring in Greg Forbes to talk about this. Greg, let's track this out a little bit. Because of its speed, I want to give towns in the path of this warning, because this could be the long track tornado that's been forecast all day.
Yeah, it certainly could. Now, I want to point out to people in Little Rock, this is not going to hit the city of Little Rock. It's about 18 miles, 19 miles to the northwest, and it's heading up into the Maumelle area. So don't drive there, but if you're hearing tornado sirens in Little Rock, this is not going to be hitting the downtown area. Here is the hook. Here is where the tornado is located. It's part of a rotating supercell thunderstorm that hooks around there, the tornado in there. So the Maumelle areas, you can see that is quite a distance off to the north and west there of of the Little Rock area. So let us time that out then. Timing it out, it's getting very close to the Momel area now, probably right about 7:30, then heads up toward Cato about 7:44. Right now it's very close to the North Point area. Here is the tornado debris signature, the tornado debris ball, the lavender in there. That's even stronger returns than any of the hail. There's a little bit of lavender there from the hail from the storm, but that is because there's debris being tossed up by that tornado. It will likely go just a couple of miles now to the north of Momel and just a little bit off to the south of Mayflower, in between Momel and Mayflower area. I'll show you the velocities on this. It has very strong rotation, very strong southbound wind, very strong northbound winds, and then in between is where the tornado is located, and it has had a tornado debris signature with that as well. Still is showing some tornado debris in there. The blues are tornado debris signature. So tornado in progress. It has been in progress and continues. It's looking as if it may be trying to wrap some rain-cooled air around that. That could mean that it could even become rain-wrapped, but definitely a dangerous tornado heading in the areas north and west of Little Rock, up into the areas west, and then just ever so slightly north of Momel, Arkansas. Jim?
Hey, Forbes, excuse me for 1 second. I wanted to ask you, is this storm going to be far enough away from the radar that we're going to be able to get a good signature on it, both debris-wise and circulation-wise?
Yeah, we are. It's in a very good location. I have been seeing, in terms of the tornado vortex signature, the rotation, very strong signature, even before it had a tornado warning. And then it is getting a good tornado debris signature as well as that debris ball. So it's in a position where we're getting all of the above. Now, as Bill was talking about, though, with that warm front there, if it goes too fast to the north of that, it will quickly get into cooler air. So it may begin to weaken a little bit. At least that's what we want to hope for the safety of the people of Arkansas.
All right, speaking of the people of Arkansas, let's see what Mike Seidel is seeing in North Little Rock, looking, of course, across the river back down to the city of Little Rock. Mike, are the sirens still going off?
Yes, they are. We can still hear the sirens, although we're certain that this is not going to directly impact the immediate Metro Little Rock area. We're going to look out to the west and north, and we're about 15 or so miles from where that tornado is on the ground. We have the damage near Marmel. There's also Marmel Lake, and this is between Little Rock and Conway, if you're familiar with the area. Very woodsy out there. Not a great chase area, as Reed Timmer has alluded to. Once you certainly get in this part of the world, a lot of hills, a lot of trees, not great visibility. You don't have the clear line of sight like you have out in the plain states. So that's what makes it even more dangerous. Also the fact that the sun is setting here in the central time zone here in Little Rock, and once it gets dark, you can't see it, and folks tend to go to bed. But if you know anybody that is certainly downstream, downwind from this system, north of Little Rock, up towards, say, Mountain Home, into the Ozarks, this could be a long tracker, and we may be dealing with this for some time now. The siren's going back off again here in the downtown Little Rock area. So, Jim, we're okay right here where we are, not a whiff of wind. We had a heavier shower about 15 minutes ago from a shower that came over us, but it's the very dark skies off to the north and west we've been following through the past half an hour or so, and very little in the way of lightning, Jim, at this point. Very little lightning that we've seen from here on the river.
All right, Mike, we're going to check back with you in just a minute. Again, as Forbes was mentioning earlier, we are not going to see this tornado come into downtown Little Rock. All right, it will be north of the city, but it is on the ground. It is rotating. It is a violent tornado. This is what we've been fearing all day. This is why SPC went high risk earlier on at their 20Z update. All right, Reed Timmer, I want to check with you here first before I go back to Forbes. And Forbes, while you're listening to me, I want you to get out of track of all these towns that are in the path of this thing for the next 30 miles or so. Reed, where are you exactly, and what are you seeing?
We're just about to go into the west loop of Little Rock right now. We can definitely see that dark sky to the north, but the cloud bases are so low out here, we can't see underneath it, and it'll probably be a good 10-15 minutes before we can. But it's definitely a tornadic supercharge. You can see the low-level jet of that, those really fast winds just above the ground screaming into it, and we'll continue to chase this thing all night if we have to. But it's a very populated area there between Conway and also Little Rock, so people in those areas need to watch out, and also north of the Jacksonville area as well. The storm is headed that way. So people should definitely take cover to pass this thing because it'd probably be a long-track tornado.
Reed, is there any change in the topography there that opens up a little bit? And also, is there any lightning that's potentially illuminating this or could illuminate it?
It's still the terrain is starting to change. So we were coming through the mountains there in the hot springs area, and it's starting to get a little more flat out here. So we're heading northeast, and we should get visuals soon. There's still a lot of trees, but as we round that north side of Little Rock and head northeast out of Jacksonville, we should be right on it. But it probably is rain wraps. Looking northeast, it just looks like a dark mass in the sky, and you can't see the cloud base just yet. I'd say about 15 minutes, we'll have visual.
All right, buddy, I appreciate it. Be safe. We'll check back in with you. I want to bring in Greg Forbes again. Greg, what are you seeing? We've probably got a new scan now on this. Sadly, I think it's still probably a strong and violent tornado. What do you got?
Yeah, it definitely still has a debris ball, and it's moving off towards the northeast, and it is getting close to the area near Mount Pilgrim, the Momel area. You can see right in here there still continues to be a debris ball. We've tracked it forward. If it holds together this long, it would come up toward the Mountain Springs area about 8:01, so that's about 40 minutes from now. In the meantime, the Momel, the Mount Pilgrim, Morgan, Cato, Olmsted areas, or at least somewhere in the vicinity of those, that is where we would be. Now, not everywhere in that swath. It's a pretty tight little tornado there. We know exactly where it is. So let's go to the high definition radar. I've gone back 15 minutes. We've been talking about long track. So this is before we got the debris ball. But even here, Jim, it had a tornado debris signature. So I'm going to go, this is 15 minutes ago. I'm going to track that one along, and step by step, I'll go 5 minutes after that. And it continued. Look at there. There's another debris signature. I'll go another step along, and it is has begun to weaken. But there's the tornado debris signature, and now I'll go to the most recent time, and we're up into this vicinity. So let me bring back the normal way we look at radar, and you can see that it has had a long track here of tornadoes, of a long-lived tornado. 15 minutes ago, 10, 5, and then now right at that debris ball. So still a very strong signature there, and let me slide that back into the picture. And so you can see there it is in this vicinity. It's going to go just a few miles north of Momel, maybe halfway between Momel and Mayflower, and then continue off toward the north and east. Very well-defined tornado vortex signature, very well-defined debris ball. Strong rotation. Oh, wow. It is now gotten such a strong rotation that the blues normally, as it goes increasingly fast from the northwest there in the blue, if it gets too fast beyond what the radar can resolve, it folds over in color and becomes red. So this has such strong northwest and west winds now that it has folded over, and then on the north side, there it has gone. Wow. It is. You know, the last time I saw something like this was the El Reno tornado in Oklahoma, when about the time that Mike Bettis was getting hit, the radar got so contorted in the color scheme that it became virtually impossible to interpret. So tornado in Roland, Arkansas, northwest of Momel. There it is. That is the tornado debris ball. There is, here is the big blue tornado debris signature that shows up in our dual pole radar, and that's the area that the velocities have become so strong that the radar cannot, without further research, cannot in real time, cannot unfold it and get the exact velocity. So the strongest tornado that we definitely, I would say, at least the strongest tornado that I've been tracking thus far this year in terms of the velocity signatures, and it is reminding me of the kind of thing that we saw when Mike Bettis in the El Reno, Oklahoma tornado last late May was. This is a very, very dangerous storm that's ongoing there, Jim.
All right, Dr. Forbes, thank you very much for that excellent analysis, as always. Again, Bill Bunting with us, the chief operations guy here. Let's talk a little bit about this storm as you think it's occluding and maybe heading a little bit more toward the north.
Well, it's certainly Roland, Mayflower, the highway out of Little Rock north towards Conway in the immediate path. Can't rule out in Momel either. This entire area, this is a fast-moving storm. If you wait until you see it, it's too late. You've got to seek shelter now. It's moving northeast 45 miles per hour.
All right, so Roland already has a confirmed large tornado on the ground. You think this is heading right into Mayflower?
It's moving very close to Mayflower, and then eventually points northeast. So this is a really serious situation in this part of Arkansas.
Who else can we tell? I mean, is there any other town up and through here that's big enough?
Well, it's eventually going to move up towards and just south of Conway. It looks like the worst may go to the south, but too early to say. Really, this is a very dangerous situation for everyone. Conway south towards Mayflower and Maumelle. The radar signature is very, very scary. We only hope that what ends up happening is not as bad as we fear.
Does the warm front go southeast from here, or just have a chance to get into the cooler air, the stable air?
It will move in that direction, but it's moving at an angle that it may stay in that area where the tornado potential is relatively high for at least several tens of minutes. So it's
we've still got plenty of time to do a lot of damage. All right, thanks, Bill. We appreciate that. Let's go back to Timmer Reed. Timmer, again on this cell as well. Reed, what are you seeing?
We still cannot have visual of this storm. We're about to go to the west loop of Little Rock, but I did just see a spotter report pop up that there are power flashes observed just west of Maumelle with a large tornado heading toward town. So multiple power flashes reported, large damaging tornado headed from the south, which might be difficult if there's rain wrapping around the south side, but we'll have to do what's called a hook slice maneuver. And with our vehicles, we can safely do that. But just north Maumelle and just northeast of there, big problems. People need to be taking shelter.
Where are you in relation to Mayflower and Roland?
We're about 8 miles, 8 to 10 miles due south of the circulation. So with these low cloud bases, we can't see the tornado right now, but we'll be closing on it fast here to the south.
All right, keep us posted, buddy. That is absolutely the game in town tonight. As Bill was mentioning, heading toward Mayflower, Roland. We understand a confirmed tornado on the ground here. Greg Forbes, let's get a look at the radar here and who else we can warn possibly. Again, the town of Roland, by the way, population 745 people. It looked like that storm and that debris ball went right over that little town. Greg Forbes, back to you.
Yeah, and it looks like it's going to go about 2.5 miles south or southeast of the center of the little town of Mayflower. Here is the current Doppler radar with a debris ball very well defined there, just ever so slightly south of Mayflower. And heading off toward the northeast, we have Faulkner County, Pulaski and White counties now under tornado warning. There is where the tornado is. We have well-defined hook echo with this inflow that is coming in, rain-cooled air that is wrapping around, and the tornado is sitting happily in between the two and heading toward areas that could come toward. Yeah, that's a little bit better. Right down the center line here, going to go just slightly south of Saltillo, about 740. Just slightly to the south or very close to the Valonia area, about 752. Then we'll be heading off toward the north and west of the Beebe area. About 8:02 p.m. It gets to the El Paso area. So dangerous tornado in progress. Let's go to our high definition radar. That lavender debris ball, much stronger than even any of the returns that we're getting from any hail in the storm. Unequivocally, that is due to the tornado having debris that's been picked up and giving very strong returns to the radar. So it's heading off toward the north. You can see here's Mayflower. It is ever so slightly south of the Mayflower area. Here is the tornado debris ball. Within that, it is so complicated that the velocities are all confused because it's gone over the velocity scales that are being used. And the scary part is that entire debris ball has this tornado debris signature, the correlation coefficient so low because of all the tumbling debris that is present there. So a very, very dangerous storm with extremely high velocities. This is likely to be, based upon the kind of velocities we're seeing and the fact that it has this debris ball, this is likely to be, once they assess the damage, likely to be an EF3 or stronger tornado. Now, there is another tornado warning from a rotating storm off to the north of this that has also developed, and that is up very close to Searcy in Arkansas, White County. A little bit of a hook echo. It is not nearly as well defined as the one there that is near Mayflower, but White County coming up toward the Bald Knob area, and then north and east of the Judsonia area, you see not nearly as well defined a velocity signature, but certainly a north-south shear line there that could intensify coming up across highways, Interstate 67, I guess that would be, and Highway 367 might go right up that highway or very just to the north of that up into the Bald Knob area. So this one not quite as intense, but certainly a dangerous storm. Russell, about 7:57, that tornado is coming toward you as well, or possible tornado coming toward you. So central Arkansas, you've had a lot of previous thunderstorms. It is generated south of that very warm conditions in the rain-cooled air cool conditions, and the storms are tapping the shifting winds and that lift as that warm air hits that cold, that boundary, and allowing these storms to intensify and form tornadoes. Jim?
All right, thank you, Dr. Forbes. We appreciate that. Again, guys, the sirens going off right now, we understand, in Searcy, Arkansas. I want to go back to Mike Seidel, who's in North Little Rock. Mike, talk to us about what you're seeing.
We can tell you one thing, Jim, the sirens have stopped here in downtown Little Rock, and we were never concerned with this storm as far as it directly impacting right here in the immediate metro area. It's out that way, off to the west and northwest. We're looking in that direction. Off to the north, I'm seeing a lot of lightning right now, but that's the sky. And again, we're about, what, 15 miles, Mike? About 15 miles up I-40. I-40 is an east-west interstate, but in this part of Arkansas, when it leaves Little Rock and heads up towards Conway, it goes north and west. So it's up there where we have that tornado on the ground and the debris, and that debris ball Dr. Forbes has been showing us Reed Timbers off to the south of there, down around the Mayflower area. So that's the sky we're seeing down here. All is clear here in Little Rock downtown, North Little Rock where we are. We've had one downpour in addition to the storms we had, Jim, this morning around sunrise, those elevated storms with a marble-sized hail. Waiting to get word from our desk and from our director, Tom Lee, whether we want to break down and head in that direction, come in behind it, and see if we can get some live pictures back to you tonight here from the Little Rock area. Jim?
Well, you know, Mike, it's funny that you say that, because I was just looking at some of these spotter reports now coming in 14 miles northwest of Salem. This is probably around the Roland area of trees down, power lines down, houses damaged at this location. So what we, you know, when we're seeing a situation like this, there's going to be a lag. All right, we know what Forbes is looking at with these debris signatures. We know there's been debris. We don't know if they're homes. We don't know if they're multiple trees, whatever. But there's definitely debris in through here. And eventually, we will get the reports in of exactly what has happened, just like we saw earlier in Iowa and Kansas, unfortunately, with 2 fatalities confirmed earlier this evening. But this is definitely, in terms of a signature, the most impressive tornado that we've seen all night. It will be a long-track tornado. It is already up toward the Mayflower area. All right, I want to go back to Reed Timmer, who was about 10 minutes ago 8 miles away from the storm. Timmer, where are you right now?
Yeah, we're just south of it right now, Jim. We can see a lot of lightning. We can almost see the base. Like there's that hill just in front of us. So we're closing in on it. We're probably about, I'd say, 8 miles south of Mayflower right now. So we should be on it any minute here. And then our plan is to go north to Conway and then due east. If we can't catch it there. So we'll at least probably see what kind of damage we're dealing with up here in Mayflower. Hopefully it's not too bad, but it sounds like it's a large violent tornado, and yeah, this thing is really going nuts. We're approaching from the south. We should be there in 5 minutes.
Well, all right, buddy. We'll check back in with you in 5 or so. The scariest thing that I've heard probably came from Forbes. When you start talking about a radar that can't handle the capabilities of what it's seeing. I mean, these radars are very, very finely tuned, but when they drop out of or go above the scales of the radar, you know you've got a big tornado. You know you've got a lot of damage somewhere. We don't know exactly what that damage is, as I talked about earlier. That is to come. Guys, let's get a quick look at this picture Christine was telling me about, Landmark, Arkansas. Apparently it's a spotter down that way looking north toward the Little Rock area. Now, I don't know. Apparently, okay, they're driving there. This must be a chaser actually driving near Landmark. That is south of Little Rock. So they're obviously heading up that way to see what kind of damage. But again, this is a classic example of why it is so difficult to even attempt chasing in Little Rock around the Arkansas area. I mean, there's hills everywhere. There's no getting around them. I mean, you can't see over those hills as you even drive at 50, even 60 miles per hour. All right, I want to bring in Greg Forbes. Let's get the latest. Greg, we've had another cycle with the radar. What are you seeing? Do we still have a debris ball?
We definitely still do have a debris ball. It has shrunk just a little bit. It's now north and east of Mayflower. We have actually 2 other tornado warnings in Arkansas and 1 in northeast Texas. We'll come back and get to those, but here is the situation. Actually, 1 other tornado warning in Arkansas. Let's go into this one. We still have a debris ball there now off to the north and east of Momel, off to the northeast of the Mayflower area. It's heading up toward the Valonia area, and be on the lookout for that. We'll be right back. After break, we'll track all these storms for you.
All right, guys, we're continuing to watch storms. Again, very dangerous time right now. Just to the north of Little Rock, Arkansas, we've had a strong, violent tornado on the ground, apparently a half-mile wide, as reported by storm spotters, that has caused heavy damage in Mayflower, Arkansas, about 2 miles to the southwest of there, where there's a large search and rescue effort underway at the present time. We are live in the NOAA Storm Prediction Center here in Norman, Oklahoma, where we've been all day talking to these fine folks about the outlooks, about the very, very busy day ahead. You can see the evening shift is cranking it out here. We've been talking to Bill Bunting. And Bill, you actually mentioned a couple of storms that you're concerned about as well, in addition to what we have is right now a long track tornado.
The storm that's in west central Arkansas is also along the warm front. And this storm in northeast Texas, currently near Mount Pleasant, continues to move northeast, generally towards Texarkana, and the environment only gets more favorable as it moves northeast for the possibility of tornadoes. So this is another storm that has to be watched very carefully.
All right, so time to put Texarkana on alert anyway.
Definitely.
All right, thank you, sir. Let's talk again to Greg Forbes back in the studio, our severe weather expert. Greg, what are you seeing, especially with the storm that we know has already caused a tremendous amount of damage and is estimated to be at least a half-mile wide?
Yeah, it still has a debris ball on it, and we've seen some pictures of the damage. There are piles of rubble there, so there's been extreme destruction. I estimated probably this would be the kind of tornado that would give EF3 or higher. Nothing I'm seeing so far to temper that concern. Here it is. Here's the big picture. The storm that has had the tornado with the debris ball is the southern of two storms in Arkansas with tornado warnings. Let's zoom in on that one. We'll give you updates, and I actually have a slice that in the radar in a cross section. There is a debris ball in the parts of a rotating supercell thunderstorm. The supercell thunderstorm gets rain-cooled air that wraps around. Then the inflow notch comes in right there. The tornado forms at the interface between the two, and that is the debris ball that is the tornado, or at least how it shows up on radar. Here in the high-definition radar, and I'm going to have to get a drink here.
That's okay. Hey, Forbes, we're going to talk to you in a second. You can see the debris ball there. Just get a drink, buddy. It's hard to talk straight. Do we have Timmer back by any chance? Did you guys just... Okay, let's look at, guys, we're getting reports again out of this Mayflower area. Again, incredible structural damage down there. Greg said that he's seen some pictures off of Twitter. As soon as we can confirm them as being that area and from that tornado, we will show them to you. But certainly it would make sense, but you just have to confirm this stuff. You can't just chuck it on the air. Again, this has pretty much now traveled for the last half hour to 45 minutes on the ground with the debris ball as well. All right, let's get back to Greg Forbes, who is now hopefully quenched his thirst and ready to continue to give us exceptional information. Sir?
That'll teach me to try to get a snack in between on-air hits here, Jim. So definitely still a tornado debris signature that is in progress there. I've seen the pictures of extreme destruction around the Mayflower area. It's heading north and east. The width of this debris ball is pretty close to a mile wide. So this is the kind of thing that we've seen, not quite as wide as the El Reno tornado, but certainly a dangerous situation. Here in the slice, I've taken a slice through this one, and there, the high return is the tornado. Now, we can follow it at least up to about 10,000, 12,000 feet above ground when it then gets mixed into the rest of the storm. And so this is a very intense tornado. Can we go back to the other to the other Gibson Ridge? Yeah. And so at this point, we continue to have that debris signature that is showing up, and the debris signature is about that wide, the blue hole there, and the velocities continue to show that. The core of the strongest debris is in the middle here, so there is some wider debris that I believe is not totally tornado. It's been cast out. The tornado pulls it in and then tosses it outward a little bit. I think the tornado wind circulation is primarily here, but maybe even a little over a mile wide for where the debris is coming down. So you don't want to get close to this tornado. Then off to, and so where is it heading? It's heading across Faulkner, Lonoke, and White counties, off toward the northeast, toward the Valonia area. Do we have, yeah, there we have the tracking for that. Valonia, it's getting very close, within 10 minutes of Valonia. El Paso, about 8:10. The Antioch area, about 8:30. And it seems very likely that it's going to hold together. Now, we have a storm farther to the north. We have a tornado warning there for Cleburne, Stone, and Van Buren counties, not nearly rotating as strongly.
We are back at NOAA's Storm Prediction Center here in Norman, Oklahoma. We've been talking to Bill Bunting. Bill, I just asked you to calculate between Lake Maumelle and Valonia, which is where we know this debris ball is heading. How long has this been on the ground potentially?
Roughly 13 miles, and it's still going strong, unfortunately.
All right, well, unfortunately, it's caused a lot of damage. Let's show you some of the pictures that we're getting in now, a couple that we feel comfortable with around the Mayflower area. And I'm going to come over to my monitor because I want to look at these as we're punching them up for you. You can see what we're talking about in through here. And I was just looking at one of them offline from Brian Wood. I don't know if we have that one, but this isn't it. This is near Maumelle. This is, again, if you look off, you can certainly see a dark base there lowering all the way toward the ground. You can't really confirm that that is the tornado, but certainly from what we've heard, and we know that there was a tornado on the ground in Lake Maumelle, that certainly may be it without question. I certainly can't tell from this angle, but I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, obviously a large wedge tornado here. This is from Atwhistle Pig 11, and you can see here just a lunar land. This is the kind of damage that you see when you're talking about EF4, where you've pretty much got piles of everything all over the place. I don't know what kind of structures that are here. I don't know what's been ripped, but let me show you one more picture here. Let's just come over to my monitor. This came from Brian Wood. I was just looking at chat. Look at this in the foreground here. This is an automobile. That's the frame, the base of the automobile, and this is part of the frame right in through here. And I can't even confirm that that's from that automobile. If that is in fact what that is, this is a very strong and violent tornado. Let's talk to Reed Timmer, who is approaching the Mayflower area. Reed, what are you getting?
Hey, Jim, there's severe damage here. We are right near Mayflower, the south side of the damage path, and it's really bad. There's traffic is blocked up here. It looks like vehicles are having problems getting into the damage path. It looks bad. This is a very large path, too. We're in the south side. The trees are all southwest and northeast, and we're not even close to the core yet. This is really bad.
All right, so you're not even near the worst. You're not even near the worst damage yet.
No, we're probably about a quarter mile south of it, but you can see it up there, and it's not good. And we saw a visual of the tornado as it was moving up to the northeast toward Valonia. We could see the left edge, and it looked really large. Rain around it as well.
All right, well, yeah.
I think we see that left edge. It's just bad here, real bad. We're coming into the damage now. This is definitely the
so we've got your stream back up, Reed. Is this what is this road here? Is this the interstate?
Well, we split off from the Dominator so we could make sure we do search and rescue, make sure everybody's okay here. Look at a traffic jam right now. Oh, they are. We just saw them on the right. So, yes, this is just south of Mayflower on 40 West. Mile marker 137 is the south side of the damage path, and just north of that by for a mile, there's severe damage.
All right. Thank you, buddy. Be careful. Keep us posted. We'll talk with you when we can. Let's get back to Greg Forbes. Greg, still a very, very classic hook signature here with the debris ball.
Yeah,
what have you got for us in terms of the damage for Valonia?
I hope you're in the shelter, taking safety, lowest innermost portion of a building and protecting your head. That debris ball is right over Valonia. Let's take a look here north of Little Rock. It's the son of these two storms that has been producing tremendous amounts of destruction. And there is Valonia. It has gone across Valonia. It is just to the east of Valonia right now in Arkansas, Faulkner and White counties. You have a tornado warning there. Tornado is in progress, continues to be producing destruction as it's heading off toward the north and east. There's where it's still heading toward the Otto area and probably just to the north of Otto. Very close then, though. It'll come to the El Paso area about 8:02, coming to the Floyd area about 8:19. Let's, Sarah, go into our high-definition radar. There you see Valonia. It has come from where that yellow triangle is up across Valonia. It has gone right across the community of Valonia, and it's continuing to head off toward the north and east. That's the tornado debris ball signature. The high returns because there's debris in the air. It continues. In fact, now probably has even tossed some of the debris out ahead because in the correlations coefficient here, the debris signature, some of the debris that has been already picked up is now dropping out ahead of the tornado off to its north and east. Let's go, and I've taken a slice through this about 5 minutes ago, and we can see, go ahead, Sarah, there is the tornado. You see right down at the ground, that's where we would be seeing the tornado debris ball, and then here is the tornado tube going up and toward the northeast. It's lagging a little bit behind at the ground where it is aloft, and it's up there at least 10 to 15,000 feet high into the storm before it gets absorbed into part of the overall rotating thunderstorm. So A potentially deadly tornado in progress in the areas now north and east of Valonia, Arkansas. Let's take a look. We have additional storms or tornado warnings as well. We have up to the north and west of Heber Springs in Arkansas, Cleburne, Stone, and Van Buren counties with tornado warning. Not nearly as well defined, and no debris balls showing up on that, but there is some circulation showing up right about in there, and that little notch, that little appendage, that would be heading up toward the Marcella, the Batesville areas of Arkansas. It's getting closer to moving into rain-cooled air, though. Let's hope that its fate is very temporary as a consequence. We do have a tornado, a large rotating wall cloud, Morris and Titus counties up in northeast parts of Texas, south and east of Mount Pleasant, north and west of Dangerfield, heading up toward the Naples area. It's very close to the Cookville area, and so could be dangerous storm there. Might take a turn to the right there to the Rocky Branch area in between there and the Naples area, and maybe head toward Marietta, Texas as well. So dangerous storms, especially the one that is in central parts of Arkansas, but also some that are down into northeast Texas as well. Jim?
All right, looking at El Paso, Forbes, like you were talking about, you can clearly see the correlation coefficient. This blue area here is obviously something that's not precipitation, it's debris. So the radar says, I don't know what that is, so it's denoting a color to it that's very, very different from the rest of this. That gives us an idea where the debris is. So here's El Paso here, Floyd eventually off toward the north. All these areas under the gun, as this has now been on the ground now for over 13 miles since it's passed through Valonia. Very, very dangerous and destructive tornado. Let's go back over to Bill Bunny here and talk a little bit about what he sees here in this storm. Again, Bill, it doesn't seem to matter that this thing's gotten north of the warm front. It's probably pulling it up north with it, isn't it?
I think it's in the frontal zone right now, and it continues to have a very intense level rotation. This has been a long track, potentially long track tornado, and it doesn't show any signs of weakening at the moment.
How rare, I mean, I'm not saying this is going to be an EF5, but how rare are EF5 tornadoes in Arkansas?
Well, they're fairly rare. In fact, they're actually rare anywhere, but Arkansas, of course, most tornadoes are typically EF0, EF1. So anytime you get into the EF3 or greater range, it's a rare event, and this is an environment that is one that could support that. And unfortunately, the radar data and the damage reports we're receiving certainly confirming a very dangerous tornado situation.
All right, so let's bring up this picture from Brian Wood we just saw come across NWS chat. I want to bring this up. And as you look at this, and you see the frame of the vehicle essentially pulled apart, I mean, what does that tell you about the wind potential here?
Well, I've seen vehicles actually heavily damaged when nearby structures aren't, so you can't tell a lot, but certainly with the trees, the structures that we've seen and the vehicles, certainly suggesting, at least EF3 or greater.
Right.
I really have learned over the years not to judge until you can get out there and look at things close up. But it's definitely a significant tornado.
All right, thanks, buddy. We appreciate that. Let's bring in Brett Adair, who's been out there on this thing. It looks like we have pictures from you, Brett. I saw your stuff come across NWS chat. I heard your reports coming in. Paint us a picture. Tell us what you've seen and what you see in Mayflower.
And we're on 365 just southwest of Mayflower, and there is significant damage just southwest of the interstate. Homes are destroyed. There's gas leaks. We helped get a lady out of a home. She was injured, had a laceration to the head. This is one of the higher end tornadoes, man.
So yeah, I was going to ask you. You've seen enough of these. I know you've been in very violent tornadoes as well. And like Bill said, we can't really rate this until we get out there. But you're thinking this is well above the EF3 scale, from what I'm ascertaining.
Well, in one location, I'm standing on what looks like to be a sidewalk, and there's a slab, and there's nothing on it. Now, back to the north toward the downtown area of Mayflower, I'm about 1 mile to the southwest on 365. Looking to the northeast, everything is just obliterated, man.
All right. Mayflower, again, a small town here, around 1,000 people, from what we understand. I mean, is it search and rescue? I mean, there's sirens going off everywhere, police, ambulance, that kind of thing?
Absolutely. We've been here on scene for about 25 minutes doing search and rescue. You could probably hear in the background there's a massive gas leak. People are trying to come into this area on 365 from the south, and I would definitely suggest that everybody stay off the roads if you don't need to, and let emergency personnel get in here to help you people.
Yeah, Brett, that's a great point. And, you know, the fact that we can tell where this stuff is and tell you where it is, and you can still see from the radar here, we have a debris ball right there near the 84 or 64. I can't tell what that number is. But where just east of Alonia, again, around the El Paso area, that is still a debris ball. So we still have a very dangerous tornado that's been on the ground, potentially up now toward 15 miles. But, folks, don't venture out to see this. Think about it. If you put yourself in the way of a search and rescue person, think about that. That's awful. Don't go out there. Let them do their job. Let fire, let police, let rescue get out there and get these people. A lot of times, especially with a violent tornado like this, everything's just been thrown everywhere. There are roads blocked. There needs to be heavy equipment that gets in there. They need to create a path for ambulance because there are probably massive injuries, potentially anyway, with this kind of a tornado. So please don't go out on the roads to go try to look at this thing. All right, I want to bring in Greg Forbes. Greg, let's get to your analysis. We've had a couple of new scans now. No reason to believe, from what I've seen, that we have anything that's weakening anytime soon here.
No, it certainly is not, Jim. We still have a debris ball now. It's about 5 miles northeast of Alonia, heading towards Searcy, Arkansas, and a dangerous, dangerous situation. It is now the only tornado warning in Arkansas, but it is off now to the north-northeast of the Little Rock area, probably about 20 miles away from Little Rock and moving away from Little Rock. It is bearing down on El Paso, so there in El Paso, you need to be in the lowest, innermost portion of a building. Put a helmet on you if you have it. Try to protect your head. This destructive tornado is coming to you. It is north of Highway 64, coming right into El Paso. We're talking about tornado warning for Cleburne, Faulkner, and White counties. It's moving east-northeast at about 50 miles per hour, so you don't have much time to be watching this and then seeing it come to you. Floyd, probably about 8:06. The Searcy area, about 8:23. Bald Knob, about 8:36. As this dangerous storm rolls off to the northeast at about 50 miles per hour. Here it is, still a very well-defined debris ball, about a mile wide, and rolling off to the north and east. There's Valonia. It has blasted right across Valonia and is heading off to the northeast. I'll circle the high debris ball return. I'll show you the velocities on this. They are still so complicated and so intense that it's hard to get the good readings on it. But the reds here going up into the brown range and then returning into the northwest. Tornado now confirmed in El Paso, Arkansas. So there is the debris going back now to the normal way. Are we seeing that? Debris is being tossed out, centrifuged out, if you will, beyond all sides of the tornado as it gets picked up and then swirls out in the rotating thunderstorm. Let's take a look. We can still see it going up into the vertical. It's leaning off toward the north and east. Right down at the ground is the strongest debris, but then you can see this dark red and brown funnel coming all the way up here to now getting pretty close to 20,000 feet up into the storm. We can recognize that, and so that is the tornado tube. That is the tornado going up. El Paso, you're getting hit right now. Floyd, within just a few minutes, about 8:06, and then Searcy, about 8:23, Bald Knob, 8:36. And I believe this tornado has already, by my Doppler velocities at least, and tornado debris signatures, has been in progress for about an hour. So very dangerous storm. Let's take a look at the storm in northeast Texas also, Sarah. There we're timing that out when it's lost some of its rotation, but that storm, very isolated, at times has had rotation getting close to Naples, Bowie, Cass, and Morris counties, with severe thunderstorm warnings. And Sarah, I believe we've timed this one out when it's coming toward the Texarkana area. If it holds together, coming toward Texarkana about 9:35 Central Time, and some of the other locations there in the box in the upper right where it may hit. It still could rotate again. Hail damaging winds, certainly a possibility with this. Jim?
All right, Dr. Forbes. Again, guys, as we've been talking about for the last half hour, 45 minutes, we've had a long-track, devastating tornado that's been on the ground since Lake Maumelle all the way up now toward El Paso. Greg is still showing a very intense, tight circulation with a debris signature. We know there's been damage. We've seen some of the structural damage. As a matter of fact, let me show you the pictures here as we broadcast from the Storm Prediction Center here in Norman, Oklahoma, which is where we've been all day. And again, I cannot thank these folks enough for sharing their time with us on what has been a very, very busy day. Again, this is from Nickel Hunt in Mayflower, Arkansas, seeing a tree which is probably just leafed out, now stripped from its leaves, stripped from its branches. We have 18-wheeler trailers that have been rolled over. And honestly, I can't really make out what type of debris that is, but it looks like some sheet metal of sorts that has been twisted. It certainly looks like anything that's been on the ground there has been kind of ripped up. Let's move on to the next picture here. We've got a few of these as they continue to come in. And this, again, guys, if you're watching us northeast of this storm, this is the same type of damage that you could see with this tornado. All right, it is the same violent monster that we see. Now, if you look between these two gentlemen, you will notice a car frame. It looks like a car frame or a trailer frame of some sort that's been ripped apart from the actual body of the vehicle. And again, everything has been flattened. And this is typically the kind of damage that we see with the stronger EF3, EF4, or even stronger tornado than that. Again, guys, dangerous time ahead as this storm continues to head towards Searcy in Arkansas. Let's bring Greg Forbes back in. Greg, what are you seeing on the next scan?
Still a debris ball. We've also seen a Twitter picture. A wedge tornado is in progress with this. Of course, we kind of knew that anyway because of the tornado debris ball. The debris signature is up to about a mile wide and is destroying just about everything in its path at this point. Here it is off to the north of Little Rock, 20-25 miles to the north, and zooming in a little bit, we still continue to have a tornado debris signature. It has gone across El Paso. I'm afraid to see what has happened there. Cleburne, Faulkner, and White counties, you still have a tornado warning, and it's moving northeast at about 50 miles per hour towards Searcy, timing that out about 8:23 into the Searcy area, Bald Knob about 8:36, and it has been in progress now with a tornado debris signature for more than an hour. I think it's about an hour and 20 minutes now. Here it is, still with that debris ball, a very intense debris ball. The tornado is there, part of a supercell thunderstorm that has a couple of wings, if you will, coming in from the north and west, spiraling around, the inflow coming into here, and then showing the tornado right there. I'll circle that. I'll show you the velocities. It is an extremely intense, the radar just not calibrated to have velocities this fast showing up, and so this is likely to be an EF3 or stronger type tornado, and continues to have right in there that bluish, that indicates debris, the tumbling debris that's showing up that doesn't look the same when you scan it horizontally as you do vertically. Let's go to the next one, and it's heading towards Searcy, and I've zoomed out a little bit with my slice, and as the storm gets a little farther away from the radar, we still can't see the top of the storm, but it's over 50,000 feet tall, and the radar beam cuts off. So because they only scan so many elevation angles upward, my guess is it may be 10 or 12 miles tall. And here is the tornado. That little lavender at the ground is that purple ball that we see. There's a debris ball. But then there is the tornado funnel, the tube, if you will, coming up now about 20 to 22,000 feet up into the storm. So one of the more impressive, or depressive, if you will, a tornado emergency now for Floyd, Arkansas. One of the more impressive or depressive signatures that you will ever see on radar. One good thing has happened here, though. We're losing a little bit of that debris ball. Boy, let's hope that trend continues. What is happening is we're getting the storm getting a rear flank downdraft. It is getting a bit of a gust front. Unfortunately, still a wide open inflow in that notch coming into this area, and so it is likely to re-intensify. It is not as if the rain has wrapped all the way around it and is choking off that circulation. So it may be pausing. We may get a cyclic nature to this, but still very dangerous tornado. Floyd, it is right about on you, coming towards Searcy, and then it will head off to the areas north of Augusta in Arkansas. White County, you have a tornado warning in effect for your location as this tornado in progress moves northeast at about 50 miles per hour. Severe thunderstorm east of Mount Pleasant, Texas, heading up toward the Texarkana area at the Arkansas-Texas juncture. It's a pretty flat storm there. You're not seeing that kind of hook wrapping around with any kind of debris ball on this. This storm had a tornado warning earlier, but now Bowie, Cass, and Morris counties, including the communities of Naples and Omaha, you could be getting very large hail and damaging winds. So again, the most dangerous storm that we've seen all day today is the one that is off to the north of Little Rock. It has gone across Valonia. It has gone across, and it's heading toward the Searcy area, going to go just to the south, the tornado part at least, going to go just to the south of Joy. Places like Highway 310 and 36 near and west of Joy, you're getting very heavy rain, some hail. But the tornado will be in this juncture, heading off toward the north and east. Again, Floyd, it is pretty much passing you right now, heading off toward the Crosby, the Searcy, the Bald Knob, the Bradford areas. So, Jim, a very dangerous, very, very destructive tornado, reminiscent in some ways of the debris ball that we saw back in the El Reno storm with the folded, as we call it, the velocities that we couldn't resolve. It has thus far, though, taken more of a straight line than that El Reno, Oklahoma tornado last year that proved deadly to some storm chasers. This one still is moving pretty straight. It may turn a little bit, though, to the left if it is beginning its cycle. Jim?
Okay, Greg Forbes, I don't know if you can hear me, but apparently we have lost the signal here temporarily, but we're good now. Okay, great. I don't know why we may have lost or may not have lost it. But guys, Bill was just telling me about the storm. Here's the one we've been watching, the long track tornadic storm that's now about 25 miles, by the way, on the ground. The one west of Russellville, also a very intense looking supercell. This could rotate as well and affect areas like Russellville, Atkins, and Jerusalem. I want to bring in from the National Weather Service, Gabe Garfield. I believe he's in the Little Rock, Arkansas office. Gabe, you're up toward Valonia, Arkansas. So we know about the damage in Mayflower. We've seen complete destruction there. What's going on toward Valonia, where we know the debris ball was still showing up very well on the radar?
Well, right now I'm located just southwest of Beebe, and we are attempting to re-intercept the storm to the northeast toward Searcy. We were on the storm earlier when it was out toward Mamel and Mayflower. The visibility was rather poor, so we could only see the wedge shape over the hills and trees. Cloud bases were very low, so it was very difficult to see.
What can you tell us, though, about some of the damage that you may have come across?
Well, we have not come across any damage so far. We intentionally tried to stay out of that north of Mamel, so we haven't seen any yet. We can tell you that the storm looked very rounded and very striated. If storm chasers know, you look at a storm and you see a very striated base, you know it's a pretty big, bad, beastly type of storm. So far, really, it's been very difficult to get a view. As you know, Arkansas, especially northwest of Little Rock, has a lot of trees.
Gabe, what would you estimate as a storm spotter, as a trained National Weather Service meteorologist? I mean, how close do you have to be to this to actually see it, given the type of topography and terrain you have there?
Yeah, that's a good question. I honestly think that you'd have to be within a mile to really see it very well, and by that time, you'd probably be in some danger yourself. So we intentionally tried to stay off at a distance, but certainly you'd have to be pretty intrepid to actually have seen the tornado.
All right, Gabe, we appreciate that. Gabe Garfield talking to us tonight as he continues to stay on the storm and report for the National Weather Service in Little Rock, who we know are going to be very busy tomorrow assessing the damage here and giving this thing, at least potentially giving it a rating tomorrow. It may take a couple of days because it's a wide path. Guys, again, any new pictures that we have at this point? All right, let's go ahead and just call these up. I want to show everybody what we've gotten through here. Again, folks, if you're just joining us, we have had probably the strongest tornado of the year, without question, from Lake Maumelle up through Roland, Mayflower. We've seen extensive damage in the town of Mayflower, and now this storm has moved through El Paso and continues to pull up north toward the Floyd area. So it is still a strong supercell. As Forbes was saying, it looks like it's maybe weakening a little bit, but I'm going to be honest with you, I wouldn't let my guard down with this thing or the storm off to the west in Russellville. Everything is still in place for these things to crank tonight as they are just tapping into this very warm, very moist, unstable air mass, and really what has been an air mass that has been rotating with height all day long. Let's get to these pictures. Again, this is Jeff Woodward out of Mayflower, Arkansas. Looks like, again, it's dark. There's a reflection. There's obviously a pile of debris there of some sort. And, from what we understood from Brett Adair, there's a tremendous search and rescue going on under there. He also reported this storm when it moved northeast of Lake Maumelle into the Roland area. Again, population in Roland is 745. Melissa, give me the population of Mayflower. I'd like to know what that is. Again, guys, scenes like this, where you see everything scraped and pretty much flattened, a very violent tornado move through, and that goes